Good evening. Looking forward to celebrating Sisterhood Shabbat in the morning. We'll begin with Yedid Nefesh to welcome Shabbat this evening, page 14.
Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman, Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman, Meshokatach Eretz Onach, Meshokatach Eretz Onach, Yarutz Avgach Kemaya, Yishtachaveh Yalai, 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 El Mohadarach, Yerablo, Yedinotach, Minafetzuv Yalai, 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 Bechotam.
The first of the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, page 15.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Ladonai. Naria, naria, letzui ishenu, nekama fanav vetodah. Naria, naria, letzui ishenu, Bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Ladonai. Naria, naria, letzui ishenu, nekadma fanav vetodah. Naria, naria, letzui ishenu, Bizmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Ladonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, Ladonai. Arbaim shana akut medo ba'omar anto elevavhem behem lo yadu derachai asher nishbati ve'api im yivon el menuchati.
We'll sing together, page 16.
Shiru l'Adonai shir chadas, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, batzu miyom leyom yeshuato, saberu v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim niflaotam, ki gadol Adonai, u'mulal me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim ma'ayai, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, hor v'hadar lefanav, עוז ותפארת במקדשו, הבו לאדוני משפחות העמים, הבו לאדוני כבוד בעוז, הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, שאו מנחה, ולא לחצרותיו, שתחוו לאדוני בחדרת קודש, פילו מפניו כל הארץ. אמרו בגויים, אדוני מלך עתיקון תבל ותימור ידין עמים במשערים, ישמחו השמיים ותגר הארץ. ירם הים אלוה יעלו שרי בכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל הצייר לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט תבל בצדק. מעמים אמונתו, יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה
Page 17, Adonai Malach Tager La'aretz.
Shama tismach Zion, v'tagelna benot Yehuda, leman mishpatecha Adonai, ki ata Yatzilem, Ozaru ala tzadik, O Yisrael simcha, simcha tzadikim b'Adonai, ve'odu lezeker kodshaho.
Page 18, we sing a new song to God, the one who has worked wonders, whose might has been triumphant from.
Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, ki niflahot asa, Hoshia lo yamino, Ozero hakadsho, Honiya Adonai Yeshuato, Le'enei hagoyim gilat tzidkato, Zachar hasdo ve'emunato, Levet Yisrael, Ra'u kol artzei haaretz, et Yeshuat Eloheinu, Ariu l'Adonai kol haaretz, Pitzu ve'ranenu ve'zameru, Zameru l'Adonai v'chinor, V'chinor v'kol zimra, בחצוצרות וקול שופר, הביאו לפני המלך אדוני, ירום הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביה, נהרות שמחה וכף, יחד הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני כי בא, לשפוט הארץ,
ישפוט סבל וצדק, ויעמיד במישרים. ילאי לה 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 לה, ילאי לה לה, ילאי לה 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 לה, ילאי לה 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 לה, ילאי לה לה, ילאי לה 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 לה, ילאי לה לה On page 19, Adonai is sovereign, nations tremble. God is enthroned on high, the earth quivers. We'll read together. A sovereign mighty rules with the love of justice. You alone bring about equity, ordaining justice and compassion for the people of Jacob.
Extol Adonai our God. Worship God who is holy.
Moses, Aaron, Samuel, God's chosen ones, called out to Adonai, who answered them in a pillar of cloud.
They zealously strove to obey the divine law, even when God's decrees were beyond their grasp.
You responded to them with compassion, even as you rebuked them for their offenses.
Extol Adonai and bow toward God's holy mountain. Adonai our God is holy.
Those who are able, we rise. Page 20, Mizmor LeDavid.
Mizmor LeDavid,
Adonai b'neinim, Adonai, kavod v'hoz, Adonai, kevod shemo yishtachavu Adonai me'arat kodesh, kol Adonai, alamayim el hakavodim, Adonai, alayim rabim, kol Adonai, ba'koach chayaya, kol Adonai, be'adar, kol Adonai, shover arazim, ve'shaver Adonai,
Erazei halmanon,
vayakirem kemo egel Lebanon, ve'sirion, kemo b'neimim, kol Adonai, chotzei lavotesh, kol Adonai, yachim midbar, yachil Adonai, midbakadesh, kol Adonai, kol elayalot, vayechesov, ye'arot, uvekalot, kulo omer kavod, Adonai, lama hu yashava yeshev Adonai, melech leolam,
Adonai oz,
le'amo yiten Adonai, yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Lai, 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 ya, lai, 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 ya, lai, 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 ya,
You may be seated. We turn to page 21 for Lecha Dodi, feeling the blessing of this moment as we transform the night into Shabbat.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei
Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, Shamor vezachor vehimor echad, Ishmi'anu ule'elam yuchad Shabbat Adonai Echad U'Shmo Echad L'Shem Tiferet V'Litila L'Chadoti Likat Kala V'Neshama Nekabela L'Chadoti Likat Kala V'Neshama Nekabela Likrat Shabbat Lechu V'Nelcha Ki Mekor HaBeracha Merosh Mikerev Nesucha Sof Maaseh B'Machshava Tehila Lechadoti Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lechadoti Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nekabela Yamin U'Smol Tifrotzi Be'at Adonai Tariti Ayarish Ben Parti Ben Ismecha Venagila Lecharoti Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecharoti Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nekabela Boi V'Shalom Ateret Bala Gam B'Simcha U'B'Tohola Toch Emunei Am Segula Boi Chala Lechadoti Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lechadoti Likrat Kala P'nei Shabbat Nekabela. You may be seated. The song for Shabbat, page 23.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד הבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ולנעבר עלי היגיון בחינום מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון. מגל ומסך אדוני מרום משפטיך יש מלאכתך כי נבך אדוני כי נבך אדוני צדיק אדוני צדיק יפרח כרז בלבנון יזכה שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד שנובון בסייע דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו.
Page 24.
Adonai malach geut lave. Mikolot mayim ravim aririm mishpereyam adir bamaro maronai erotecha nemnu meod lebecha mamakodesh Adonai leorech yamin.
So the last two Mishnayot of the fifth parak, the fifth chapter of Pirkei Avot, from two of my favorite rabbis, just because their names are fun, Ben Bagbag. And he says, Hafoch ba v'hafoch ba. Turn it, or study it, and go over it. V'kula ba, for everything is found within it. Uva decheze, like really go deeply into it. V'siv uvleva, grow old and gray with it. Uminala tezua, and don't leave it. She'ein lach midat tova himana. There is nothing better in life than this. So talking about the study of Torah, talking about living a Jewish life, that if we keep turning and looking at it from new perspectives, from our own new perspectives, that each day, each moment, each year of our lives, we are the same and different. We see the ones we love age, we look in the mirror, and we see the changes in our lives. And the face that looks back at us has a little more wisdom, hopefully. That each day we've learned something new from one another. And that when we take what we have and we go back to the text, we find something powerful within. And I was listening to Chutzpah today. Chutzpah is Josh Molina and Rabbi Shira Stetman from DC. And every week they talk about the Parsha, and she was saying, Rabbi Shira was saying, she doesn't like the puppets for the plagues because she feels like it trivializes. I disagree. I think, you got to entertain the children, and if a little puppet or flicking the green little frogs into the cup keeps them going in the Seder, great. We've been, it says all the way back in the Talmud, throw candy at them to keep them awake. But she had a point too. She was saying, when we look at the challenges of oppression, that's what slavery is. It was the oppression. And sometimes when the tides turn, if we find ourselves in that place, we can't imagine that we could be part of the oppression, so we deny it. Turn it and turn it. If we look at things, if we recognize that there is not one perspective to anything, our Torah teaches Shivim Panim b'Torah. There are 70 voices, 70 faces in the Torah. They said elsewhere in the Talmud that, I don't remember the exact number, but they said before somebody could be ordained as a rabbi, in the time of the Mishnah, they had to be able to say why something was treif 39 times and kosher 39 times. The same thing. They needed to know all the arguments and all the perspectives and see that there's more than one way of looking at things. And to me, this is the greatest blessing of being a Jewish person. I'm not maligning any other faith. Everyone sees God and finds God in their own way. But there is something to me so powerful about a tradition that says, keep looking. When you think you found the answer, you're not there, keep going. It may be the answer for this moment, it may be the answer for the past, it may be the answer for the future. In the Talmud, we have not just the arguments that are the ones that we agree with, we have the ones that we disagree with, that did not reach a final conclusion, that did not go to what we were trying to say. But they're included for more than, like anything else, they're included for more than one reason. On the one hand, they're included to see why we didn't follow them, why we decided to, get to this point, to get to point B and not to point A. But they're also there so that the precedent, even if it's a precedent we disagreed with in that moment, would be available to us for a time when they would be needed sometime in the future. And to me, that's beautiful. Hafoch ba v'hafoch ba. Turn it and turn it, study it and review it, that everything is in it. And in the Lev Shalem, I believe this side is Rabbi Tamar Applebaum, and she says that we could understand even the phrase dekulaba, that everything is in it, in a couple different ways, because we can say it on the one hand that that Torah is self-sufficient, that everything you possibly could ever need is in Torah, and you don't need to study anything else. That's one perspective. And we know Jews with that perspective. But there's another perspective, which is that everything in the world can be found in the Torah. That everything can teach us Torah. That learning about the biology of the human being is to understand God's creation, which is to understand the nature of God, which is to understand what it means to live, to be a Jew. And that too is Torah. So there's, even in those two words, we can see more. And then the chapter concludes with the words of Ben Hehe, who says, Lapum Tsa'ara Agara. According to the effort, according to the suffering, is the reward. Maybe the first iteration of no pain, no gain. But that there is a powerful blessing when we work towards something. When you're teaching someone a skill, you can tie a kid's shoes, and it'll get you out the door a heck of a lot faster. But when they finally get it, not the first time, maybe not the second time, maybe not the 100th time, but when they finally can tie their shoes in, not 45 minutes, they feel a sense of achievement. You feel a sense of achievement, and it may not just be with tying shoes, it may be, linear equations or calculus or, calculating the angle of a fan blade. The example is irrelevant. But the practice of reaching a skill, of finding ourselves and learning and growing and getting to the point, sometimes a shortcut helps. But often, putting the energy through to get to where we need to be can be so powerful. And that lesson is one that takes us a very long time to learn. Right? Because, I'm talking to my daughter at dinner tonight, and she says, well, I want it to be 2024. And I was like, don't rush it, How many times have I, when I was a kid saying, oh, I want this, I want to get there, I want to reach this point, I want to see this goal, I want to see the new movie on television. But then, as we get older, we say, hold on, let's appreciate this moment. Let's appreciate the lessons right now that will let us get to the point and find those new adventures at that point. So I think I'm not done with Pirkei Avot. Next week we'll start the next parak, which in some ways is a little more challenging because they're much longer, so I have to figure out how to get brief statements on them, but we'll work on it together, biyachad. We'll continue with the evening service. We're in the middle of page 28. Baruch atah Adonai.
Umaviyom umevilayla umavdil ben yom umelayla Adonai tzevot shemo Echai hikayam tamid yimlachaleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Hamari
הוראת המצוות משפטים אותנו למדתם, וכנראה נדברים שם.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. באהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שכותנו. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך, ושרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. היום אני משלם דבר על בני ישראל למתן לכם ציצי תקננו ציצי תקננו. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. On page 32. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה בני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף פאר. מלכותך רבניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה לי אנו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם בהן. ונאמר, כי פרר להם יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל.
We'll read at the bottom of page 33 on the left. Creator of peace, compassionate God, guide us to a covenant of peace with all your creatures, birds and beasts, as well as all humanity, a reflection of your image of compassion and peace. Give us strength to help sustain your promised covenant, abolishing blind strife and bloody warfare, so they'll no longer devastate the earth, so discord will no longer tear us asunder. Then all that is savage and brutal will vanish, and we shall fear evil no more. Guard our coming and our going, now toward waking, now toward sleep, always within your tranquil shelter. Beloved are you, sovereign of peace, whose embrace encompasses Jerusalem, the people Israel, and all humanity. On page 34, we rise for V'shamru, and then we'll take time for the Shabbat Amidah, recognizing the gift that God rested, and so shall we.
V'shamru b'nei
Israel et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת, לאורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל לא תלאם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת מי נפש. When you finished your personal prayer, the Vayachulu is on page 47.
ויכלו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישמור ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי לא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
We continue with Kiddush for Shabbat, page 49.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו מצוותיו ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הפני לנו.
יציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, אותנו קראת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, בהרצון, הנחתנו.
ברוך אתה אדוני
שמו
מקדש עד שבת.
Amen. Aleinu is on page 51.
עלינו לשמח לדור הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כנויי ארצו, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם תגידו כהם, וגמור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
May be seated. It's hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone and nothing but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory could tell us only what we were in company with those who we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Except no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives most fully, even in the shadow of our lives. Each life is a whole world, and each is the breath of the divine. In affirming God, we affirm the worth of each one whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. From Chaim Stern. We are thinking this week of Helen Wortel, Leon Isidore Silver, Seymour Apt, Charla Fogel, Jane Levine Sanders, Anna Applefield, Betty Faye Seidberg Elias, Yetta Bunting, Stan Wadowski, Aga Stone, Harold Edelhawk, Sarah Kersner, Gertrude Kosh, Celia Frankel, Max William Grief, Miriam Tamber, Irving Halperin, Stefan Kolitz, George Gross, Mildred Quartler, Deborah Masry, Louis Robert Gray, Linda Wagner, Anna Sampson, Grace Thelma Parks, Reva Levine, Abraham Sherman, Vega Gali Braun, Selma Stein, William Fate, Lois Schneider, Hannah Offner, Kate Feinstein, Ruth Shapiro, Rhoda Starsky, Arthur Myers, Roger Blair, Jack Murray Jonas, and Sandy Prince. May their memories be a blessing. And we find ourselves a little bit short again. But tomorrow morning we'll make up for it. Ribono shel olam, Elohai haruchot l'kol basar, Master of the world. God of the spirit of all flesh, it is known and revealed before you that it is our fervent desire to praise your name, to remember and honor our beloved mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, wives, husbands, partners, sisters, brothers, and so many dear friends and relatives by reciting the Kaddish in the company of a minyan. Let it be, God, that you hear our presence together with our community, and let it find favor in your eyes, to be accepted and received before you as if we had praised your name. May your name, Adonai, be elevated and sanctified everywhere on earth, and may peace reign in all times and all places. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Praised is the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. So tomorrow we will come together first thing in the morning to celebrate Sisterhood Shabbat, and we have many wonderful people who will be participating and leading and celebrating tomorrow. And tomorrow night we will have Havdalah on the beach at 6:45. The email was slightly confusing because it said 6:45 in several places, but then in the picture it still said 6:30. So 6:45, because that's when Havdalah is. And we'll conclude with the Yigdal, page 53.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא בעיני של מציאותו.
אחד אין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם גם אין סוף לאחדותו. אין לו דמות גוף ואין הגוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו. כמו לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון וראשית לראשיתו. הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גאולתו ומלכותו, שבנבואתו נתנו, אל האנשי סגולתו ותפארתו. לא קם בישראל כמו שאול נביא, ומביט את תמונתו, תורת נתן לעמו, היה נביאו נאמן ביתו. לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו, לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ויודע סתרנו, מפיל לסוף דבר בקדמתו. גומר לי איש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע כרישתו. ישלח לקץ ימים משיחנו, לפתור מהקץ ישועתו. מתי מיכאל ורוב חסדו, ברוך ה' שם תהילתו. מתי מיכאל ורוב חסדו, ברוך ה' שם תהילתו. Yasher Koach, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for being here.
Bigger.